Hey guys, Nick here from Into Fly Fishing and welcome to another fly fishing gear review video. In this video, we're checking out this right here. This is the Headwaters Bamboo Victory Series 3-weight 8-foot fly rod outfit. In this video, I'm going to cover all the different components of this rod. I'm going to talk about some areas where the rod shines and where it might fall short. And I'll also cover who I think this rod is perfect for. So let's get into it. All right, so before we start this review, I have to mention that Headwaters Bamboo did send me this Victory Series fly rod outfit for review and testing, but in no way are we required to be positive about this product or any other product on this channel. We're very clear with all the manufacturers that whether we buy this gear for ourselves or we're renting it to clients, borrowing it for fly shops, or if the manufacturer sends it to us, we're gonna be 100% transparent with our audience and be honest in all of our reviews. So with that out of the way, let's get started and talk about how I was fishing this Headwaters Bamboo fly rod. So first, before I get into how I was fishing the rod, I should mention that this is my first bamboo fly rod. And before you click away and say, oh, this guy doesn't know anything about bamboo rods, I'll go watch another video. Stick with me because I think if this is gonna be your first bamboo rod purchase, I kind of have a unique perspective that I'll be able to share with you because I had a bit of a learning curve learning to cast this rod, how to care for it. And I think someone who's had a lot of bamboo rods before might have forgot all those nuances of owning a bamboo rod. So I think this could be really useful for a first-time bamboo fly rod purchaser. If you do want to watch a video from a guy who's had lots of bamboo rods and has great experience with them, I'll link to it up here. Pierre, another angler on our team, did a great review of another Headwaters Bamboo fly rod. If you want to check that out, you can check it out up here. So now that I've made that clear, I'll talk about how I was fishing this thing. I took this bamboo fly rod up to a couple small streams up here in northwestern Montana, and I was using the kit as it came out of the box. I added a 5X leader on the end, and I was fishing mainly dry flies with this thing on the small creeks and rivers. I also took it under a bridge on a larger river, which isn't exactly the perfect scenario for this rod. It was a windy day, but it did actually perform pretty well considering it's mostly meant for smaller creeks and rivers. But I used a couple of dry droppers on here, but mostly just straight up dry fly fishing. I was putting on really small flies and a couple larger ones. The smallest were up in the 20 size range, and the larger ones might have been like size 12 to 16 pale morning duns and parachute Adams. But even with those larger flies, I was able to turn them over, and the rod itself has a really unique casting feel to it that actually took me a little while to get used to. But I'll get into that a little bit later in the review, how I felt casting this rod, my first bamboo rod, and how I felt that the rod performed overall. But for now, let's move on to the next part of this review. We're going to talk about the makeup, all the components, the construction, and the build of this Victory Series bamboo fly rod. So let's start down here on the butt section. This is just a beautiful looking reel seat here. They have these chromed out anodized aluminum double ring down locking reel seat with this stunning looking classic stabilized burled maplewood insert. Moving up to the cork handle, this is one of the finest corks I have on any of my rods, I think. There is a little bit of filler in it, but they've used high quality cork. It's really smooth and it's in the full wells design. Next up, the thing that makes this rod what it is, the blanks. These are 6-sided blanks and they're made from genuine hand split and hand planked Tonkin cane bamboo, which offers a medium action in this rod. Each blank connects with metal furled connectors, and there's an extra tip included in the kit with this 3-piece rod, which isn't just a spare section used if you break the rod, but actually it's recommended that you switch the tips back and forth on each fishing day to avoid unwanted stress on the natural materials of this rod. Moving up, you'll find one red agate stripping guide, as well as hard chrome single foot guides that go all the way up the rod, which are wrapped in deep burgundy windings with a narrow black tip ring at the end. The rod itself is shipped in a sturdy Cordura covered rod tube with a rod sock that includes spaces for all 4 pieces of the rod, including the extra tip section. If you order this Headwaters Bamboo Victory Series fly rod with the full outfit, you get it with this super cool Headwaters St. Joe number 5.6 reel, and I love this thing. This is like what all reels used to look like. It's a beautiful little tiny reel. It's only 3 inches, and it's just stunning. I took this thing into a fly shop to get it spooled, and everybody in the shop was just amazed at how cool this little reel was. The St. Joe Classic Fly Reel not only has a really basic and traditional fly fishing look, but it also has the same traditional feel and sound and that same basic click and pull drag system that sounds great. And one of the things I love about this reel is that sound. I know you guys say all the time that sound doesn't matter in a reel. but that just sounds beautiful, just like the reels I remember when I was growing up. When you order the full outfit, you also get it with this fly line here. This is the Headwaters EB floating fly line. The EB series of floating line by Headwaters is designed specifically for bamboo rods. The line has an extra long belly and casts quite a bit like a double taper line with extra weight in the front end to make sure that it shoots through the guides of bamboo rods while helping you to load the rod really nicely on the water. Speaking about casting this rod, let's move on to the next section of this review video, casting and presentation of the Headwaters Bamboo Victory Series fly rod. So like I said, this is my first bamboo fly rod, and I think this is where I'm gonna have a unique perspective on casting this thing for the first time. I really didn't know what to expect when I got this rod and how it would feel in my hands. But there is a medium action on this rod. So when you get one of these, don't expect it's gonna have that fast action or that medium fast action that you expect from a really high quality graphite or graphene fly rod. This thing is meant to be a bit slower. So when you're casting, you really have to slow down your casting stroke and you have to get your timing right, which took me a little while to get used to, but I did eventually get used to it. And I think where this rod shines is in small creeks where you're doing shorter casts. It's great for roll casting and you can really get that line up and off the water and whip it out there really easily, and you get these beautiful long rolling loops when you do that with this rod. And it's something that, you know, a graphite fly rod doesn't have the same feel to it. So once you get used to how this thing roll casts and how it casts in general, it really does feel pretty cool. I'm still learning and I'm still getting better at it, and it's a bit of a learning curve if it's your first bamboo rod, but this medium action is something it's pretty cool, and it helps in fighting fish as well, protecting those super light tippets, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Overall, I think if you're getting your first bamboo fly rod, a medium action might be a little bit weird for you, but as you get used to it, I guarantee you'll start to enjoy it. And Headwaters also makes some other rods that are medium to fast action, and those might be a little bit better for you if you really don't want to go down to the medium action fly rod. But for me, I'm enjoying, you know, a totally different feel of a rod and getting used to it. So now let's talk about mending and line control with the Headwaters Bamboo Victory Series fly rod. So like I said in the casting portion of this, you can get great roll casts with this, but that also means that you have quite a bit of line control for mending. And you can mend this thing really easily because that soft tip, you know, that medium action helps you to pick the line off the water and get these really nice loops to control your line and get those dead drifts how you want them. It's perfect for smaller streams and creeks. I really enjoyed using it there. And it does take a bit of getting used to, just like casting, but once you get used to how you're mending the line, you really do improve and you can get great control with this rod. All right, and next up, let's talk about fighting fish. I did get a couple small guys on this rod and I really enjoyed fighting fish with it. With that action, that really loose, softer action, you can feel every single vibration that the fish gives you. And also with that super soft tip, you're able to protect hyper light tippets. So you could put a 6X on here easily, hook into a decent sized fish, and that end of that rod is gonna help you protect that tippet. And it's really cool, actually. I think it was taking me a while to get used to casting this thing, timing my strokes, and mending the line on the water. But when I got a fish on it, it's a pretty cool feeling to catch a fish on your first bamboo fly rod. And I think that's something that's really unique about this. I guess this is how it felt to catch fish 50 or 75 years ago when people were fishing with these things all the time. And I really enjoyed it. So I wouldn't want to hook into some 10-pound trout on this thing, but that's probably not what you're going to be doing anyways. Small streams, smaller trout up to 18 inches, I'm sure you wouldn't have a problem with this thing. Great for fighting fish and feels awesome in the hand. So next up, let's talk about the price of this Headwaters Bamboo Victory Series Moyi 3-weight 8-foot fly rod outfit. So you can get this on the Headwaters Bamboo website for $525, which if you've shopped for bamboo fly rods before, you'll know that that's an incredible price. Even if it was just coming with the blanks, the rod itself, that's a great price, $525 for a bamboo fly rod. There are plenty out there that are costing upwards of $1,500. I even know of one that's $2,000. I think the Orvis Penfolds is $2,000. These rods tend to be extremely expensive. They're not easy to make cheap. There's a lot to them, you know. These are handmade, beautiful rods. So to get that for that price, that's really where Headwaters stands out. There's not a lot of companies out there offering this quality of bamboo fly rod with an entire outfit for $525. And actually, if you want to purchase this Headwaters fly rod outfit, I've left some links in the description down below. Those are affiliate links, so we get a commission if you decide to purchase through them. But it's your purchases that help to keep this channel running, so we do appreciate your support. So next up, let's talk about the warranty that Headwaters Bamboo offers on this fly rod and all of their fly rods and fly rod outfits. So Headwaters has a lifetime warranty on all their rods, but just know that that's only for manufacturer error or some kind of breakage that happens due to workmanship. If you just go and crack your rod in half, you're not going to get a replacement from them for free. You're going to have to pay for that. You have to send in the entire rod, and there'll be a fee included in having to repair your pieces of your rod. But one thing they do offer that not a lot of companies are doing right now is a 30-day no questions asked return policy. So you can really test this thing out for 30 days. If you don't like it for any reason, you can send it back to Headwaters and get a full refund. So that is awesome about the rod. I would like to have seen a little bit of a better warranty with some kind of replacement flat rate fee for each of these pieces of the rods. And I'd say that's one of my cons for this Headwaters bamboo fly rod. But let's get into that now. Let's get into the cons of this Headwaters bamboo Victory Series fly rod outfit. So I'll start with what I just said. I wish that the warranty system was a little bit better from Headwaters. A lot of fly rod companies, especially the higher end fly rod companies out there, they're offering you some kind of lifetime or 25-year replacement fee, where if you break any part of the rod, it's going to be a flat rate fee, and this is usually a lot lower cost than what the actual piece is worth. So with some companies, you might have, if you break the butt section, it might cost you only $50, or a tip section is $40, and you send it in, they cover the shipping and replace it for you. Headwaters isn't doing that. I'd like to see that from them, but that's not the case. But I do love that they have that 30-day testing period where you can just use the rod for 30 days and send it back with no risk basically in your purchase. That's pretty cool. Another thing I'd like to see is some alignment dots on these ferrules. I know they're metal ferrule connectors, so it's a little bit different. You don't often have alignment dots on these, but I don't see why they couldn't have included them. And while I'm talking about the metal ferrule connectors, I did have one issue with this rod while I was out there casting it, and that was that these consistently came apart. And they're supposed to fit super tight to the point that sometimes when you have metal furrows in between rods where they connect, they're hard to get apart after a day of fishing. Mine was the opposite problem. They were a little bit loose. So a few of the times I was casting and the tip section of the rod would fly off into the water, which is a huge hassle. And I even made sure that I was pushing these things together super tight. After it happened to me a couple times, I really gave it a lot of force. And just so you know, with bamboo rods, this is something I learned as this is my first bamboo rod. So like I said, I was researching it and I have a unique perspective. One thing you have to remember is that you can't twist these blanks into place. Normally when you're connecting two rod pieces together, like a graphite rod, you're going to put them about 90 degrees off and then twist them into place as you push in. That's really going to set the ferrules together. You can't do that with bamboo. You never want to twist them. So I had no way of really pushing this in tighter. But after Googling around a little bit about different types of bamboo rods and how you can remedy that, I learned that you can add some candle wax in between these. So I tried that, and I think now they're a little bit tighter. I'm going to take it back out on the water, and hopefully that doesn't happen to me anymore. But it's worth mentioning, I wish they were a little bit tighter connectors, but that's not really taking away from the performance of the rod. And I do think now from the feel of it, I've remedied that by adding some candle wax. And lastly, one other thing I'd love to see with this Headwaters Bamboo Victory Series fly rod outfit is on the Cordura tube that they ship this rod in, there's absolutely no line weight identification or rod identification. I'd like to see that on both the sock and the tube, and it has it on neither. It's kind of a handy thing that manufacturers do. So if you're carrying multiple rods in a larger rod tube, the sock has it on there so you can easily identify which rod is which. And also obviously the tube could have it. If you have multiple Headwaters rods, I don't know that you're going to be able to know which one is which. So that would be a handy feature to add to this rod and the outfit itself. So lastly, I'm going to end this review video the way we end all of our review videos and talk about my personal thoughts and opinions about the Headwaters Bamboo Victory Series 3-weight 8-foot fly rod outfit. So I had a blast using this thing. It was my first time having a bamboo fly rod. And like I said, there's a bit of a learning curve in it. And I think I'm starting to see the appeal and why people like to have these classic feel rods, especially when you get a fish on there. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun. And I think the fact that Headwaters Bamboo is doing these rods for a somewhat affordable price, especially when compared to some of the larger companies out there that are doing bamboo rods, like Winston and Orvis, and those companies, they're costing a ton of money, $525 for a good quality bamboo fly rod with a beautiful reel and a line is a great deal. And I think it's a great introduction for anyone who wants to try their first bamboo fly rod. Like I said earlier in the video, the slower action of the rod takes a little bit of getting used to. And if you want to check out one of their faster action rods, I'll leave links for those in the description down below as well. And aside from the ferrules coming apart while I was casting, I had no problems with this rod whatsoever. I'm really hoping that my wax is a solution for that and I won't have to worry about it anymore. But overall, it's a great rod. It casts well, mends beautifully, and feels great on the water. better. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're coming out with new review videos like this each and every week. We also have multiple different how-to series, like how to get into Euro nymphing, how to do stillwater fishing, small creek fishing, and so much more. We also have fly tying tutorials, and we have our Montana fly fishing vlog series where I'm going out and taking you guys with me fly fishing around northwestern Montana using this rod right here and so many other great products. So I hope you guys will join us and subscribe. Until next time, tight lines.